Hello and welcome to Formless Recording and Mastering. Today we're going to do a quick video about a compressor that I often use when I'm mastering a song, the Manley Nu Mu. Really cool compressor, pretty flexible for being relatively limited in options, but it sounds really great, and we're going to go over a couple ways that I like to use it in conjunction with some other gear. It doesn't get used on everything. Not everything needs a piece of gear that has tubes. But this is something that I use pretty regularly, so we're going to give a quick listen to some ways that I use it on a day-to-day basis. And of course, if you need a song to be mastered, feel free to hit me up. I would love to help in any way that I can, whether that's just to be another ear to listen to the tune or to finish the project and send you a final file. Let me know if you need anything. Happy to help. Hope you enjoy the video. All right, so we've got a song queued up here on the computer. It's by a local artist, Arkham Sunset. I've been mastering a record for them. It's really super cool. I'm really excited about it. And they've also got a show coming up in early June here in Portland. So if you've got some time, go look them up. Go to that show. It's going to be super cool. And we're going to look at this track today. So we're going to be looking at a couple pieces of gear and how I often use them to master a song. So the main things we're going to be looking at are this Universal Audio 2192. This is our converter. It takes a digital signal, converts it to an analog signal so that you can send it to different pieces of gear, and then it'll take an analog signal and convert it into a digital signal. You'll see in the video these lights for out, and this side is for in. So out is basically what it's sending from the computer, right? So that's kind of your original audio. And then in is what's coming into the converter after it goes to any pieces of gear, like this Manley Nu Mu. And we won't turn this on today. We'll do a separate video on this another time, but this EQ. And then on the Manley Nu Mu, we've got a couple controls we're going to explore, mainly threshold and output. And the way that I use this most often is with the attack knob at its slowest and the recovery or release knob at its fastest. And then let's check out some of the other options on this compressor. It has a compress mode and a limit mode. Today we're in compress mode. It has a link mode, which just links the left side to the right side, except for the output control. Those are independent. It's got something called a hip mode, which Manley doesn't go into a ton of detail describing, but it's sort of similar to parallel compression. Not exactly the same, but similar-ish. And it's got a high-pass button. It basically means that low frequencies will not be triggering the compressor. And then you have these little switches right here, which are for input level. So middle is 0 dB, -3 means you're attenuating it by -3 dB, and you have +3 dB. So let's play a little bit of this track. I have the Nu Mu bypassed right now, and then we will put it in after a moment. So let's listen to a few seconds of this track first. As we can see here, right, output and input are the same because we haven't changed the signal at all. Now let's engage the compressor, and we're going to get the output about the same volume. So they're about the same volume right there. We're not doing any compression at the moment. Now let's bring in a little bit of compression. As we can hear, the more compression we bring in, it's dipping the volume a little bit. It's compressing it. So I'm going to dial it back. I most often don't do that much compression on here. But then we're going to boost the output of the compressor so that we're hitting the input of the 2192 a little bit harder. And we're also going to show that if you really boost that output, the input of this will clip pretty dramatically. And I'll even turn up these little switches to +3 so we can really hear that clipping. Now, I would say most of the time I'm letting it clip just a little bit on some peaks, but we're going to take it to the extreme just for fun, just to see what that's like. Now that's an extreme level of clipping, but I think it's kind of fun, and you get a feeling for what the character of the clipping is. So I don't do a whole lot of clipping, but I do a little bit. I'll just take off a little bit of the peaks there, just get into the red a little bit, because I think this thing sounds super cool that way, just getting a little bit of character, really not doing anything crazy at all, just a tiny bit of clipping happening there. The Manley Nu Mu, this thing's awesome, very simple compressor. The output knobs are not matched. That's maybe my only gripe about it, but that's not a big deal. You can match volume really easily, really easily. Super fun compressor. I think this thing sounds awesome, the 2192. Get a little bit of clipping going. You get a million options there. Hope you enjoyed this little brief walkthrough of these two pieces of gear. We'll do a video next week on the EQ. That's really super cool. That EQ has a million options on it despite only being a 2-band EQ. We'll check that out next week. Hope you enjoy. Have a good one.